Greetings. Today we are going to look at 1 Kings chapter 17 for our devotion. And here we have the man of God Elijah, without any introduction, appears before King Ahab. And he preaches a message saying that it is not going to be raining in the nation of Israel according to the word of the Lord. And after that, in 1 Kings chapter 17, verse 2, the word of the Lord comes to Elijah. And God says in verse 3, God is asking him to hide in the brook Cherith. God said, "You shall drink the water from the brook," and God would command the ravens to feed him. Just think about it. The obedience of Elijah was like unimaginable. And after getting an audience with the king, and he is not going to be seen anymore in the public. Just think about it. A powerful message, and he is going to be very popular. And from the popularity, God wants him to be a nobody, and he accepts it. And this reminds us of this verse, 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 22. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And Elijah did not reason with God, saying that let me go and preach to the people. Now is that I have spoken to the king, and let me have audience with the people. No. Immediately he goes to brook. That is one point that I found very interesting here concerning the obedience of Elijah. And after that, look at the provisions. The water is coming from the brook, and God commanded the ravens to give him bread and meat, both in the morning and evening. Ravens bringing bread and meat. Just think about it. Many ravens come in the morning and come in the evening. They do the swiggy. And then he gets the water from the brook. And I was thinking, which is supernatural and which is natural provision? And sometimes we can come to the conclusion that ravens bringing the bread and the meat is a supernatural provision, and the brook water is a natural provision. No, both are commanded by the word of the Lord. And I think the water that comes from the brook is also supernatural. And in the amount, in the intensity that we view the ravens bringing bread and meat as the supernatural, and we have to learn to see the water that comes from the brook to be the supernatural thing. And when you open the tap in your home, the water comes. You tell me whether it is supernatural or natural. And everything concerning a believer is a supernatural act. James chapter 1 verse 17 says, every good and perfect gift comes from the Father who is in heaven, in whom there is no variation and there is no shifting shadows. And for us, whether it is brook water or something that you receive supernaturally, both are from the hand of God. And the closing point is God is now shifting Elijah from that place. And it happens in verse 7. It happened after a while the brook dried up, and because there was no rain in the land. And then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, you go to Zarephath, and which is in the area of Sidon, and I have commanded a widow there to provide for you. And he does, according to the word of the Lord. And as we saw his obedience in the previous case. And when he goes there, the widow is not having plenty of food. The widow is having one meal, which is left in her home. And she is planning to cook that meal and eat with her son and die. And what would you conclude? And Elijah was thinking through the eyes of faith in the darkest situation. It is not that widow is going to provide for me, but it is that God is going to use me also to provide for the widow. And from that provision, I'm going to be fed. He does some calculations, and he understands that God is working at both the ends. Just like God, who was preparing Peter, was also preparing Cornelius in Acts chapter 10. And God, who was preparing Philip, and was also preparing eunuch's heart in Acts chapter 8. So he understands that God is working at both the ends. Sometimes it is also the case with us. We might be thinking that the place where we have been or where we have gone, and there is nothing. And it is also possible that God could actually provide in that place to the people through me, and also I am going to be fed through that provision. These are some of the points that I thought I would share it in the devotion. Thank you so much. God bless you.